All right, this young lady I'm about to bring in, she is a graduate from Clark University. She's a mother. She's a wife. She is Mrs. Mommy Esquire. She's the one and only Lachauna Edwards. Hi, Lachauna.
Hi, you said it wrong though. Lachauna Edwards.
Lachauna, oh God, I swore I had it right.
That's all right. And I gotta correct you with just one more thing. Us is Clark Atlanta University because it was Clark College and then Atlanta University and they joined. So I graduated from Clark Atlanta University, but I'm happy to be here.
Oh, thank you, man. Black men always getting corrected. They be like, look, MJ. That's like my wife. She'd be like, no, wait, babe, you did that wrong, you know. Get your dirt where you do your dirt. Yeah. But anyway, I'm sorry. I was on Instagram and I seen you and your lovely family, and I was like, man, her husband is huge, man. I said, man.
Big guy, huh?
Yeah, big brother. Yeah, I'm 6'4", like 275. So I'm like, I seen your husband. I said, that's a big brother. I said, big brother, no big brother. But but tell me a little bit about yourself, your background.
So I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm an attorney. I am originally from Ohio. I grew up in Cincinnati. I was actually born in Canton, Ohio, the birthplace of, Hall of Fame football. Nevertheless, I moved to Atlanta and went to Clark Atlanta University after high school, and I have never left Atlanta since. Met my husband here, started my family here. I'm a mom of 3 kids. I have 4-year-old twin daughters and a 10-year-old son. Yeah, I know. Come on, God played me. He played me.
Lord,
I told people I was having 2 kids and that's it. And God was like, okay, girl. So
that's hilarious.
We're a big sports family. I grew up around sports. My dad, I was a cheerleader, but my dad coached girls varsity basketball. My brothers played ball. My husband played ball. And so I've always been around sports. I've always loved sports my whole life. And so when NIL came around in 2021, I don't know if we want to get into all the details here, my full on how I got to where I am today, but so I've always felt, I have a civil rights background in law, and I've always felt very, very strongly that it was an injustice that the NCAA ever prevented athletes from monetizing, and I felt very strongly about that for many years. And so when they brought out NIL, I was like, I have to get my hands over this to get people educated, to help them know how to do this. I had already started helping entrepreneurs in business and trademarks, intellectual property, business formation, contracts, and all that. And that's literally, when we get into that, but that's literally what NIL is all about. It's like this entrepreneurial journey that these athletes are doing. And I know that there's a lot of education and assistance that our families need to maximize these opportunities, but to also not get taken advantage of. And just so many layers to all of this that as a sports mom myself, and just as someone who's always loved sports, who's very vigilant about helping people and fighting for rights, I'm like, this is it, God. This is me all over it.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna tell you something. When you said that, basically you've been an advocate for the kids being paid. I have literally been looking for this for over 40 years.
Wow.
Seriously, I'm 56. Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I was that young because this is the thing. I seen then, how, guys show you, it's sometimes something like, it seems like the people around you, they just be like in this oblivious dome.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I mean? And you're saying, no, they should be paid.
Yeah.
No, they getting a free education. I was like, free? What? I said, no, define free, because free means that I can walk down the street, walk in, take what I want and leave out. Mm-hmm. That's free. if it has any type of connection for me to do something, prerequisites, then it's no longer free. So don't tell me what's free.
Mm-hmm.
So to have you here, I know the Lord sent you my way, girl.
Oh, thank you. I listen. I love me some God, so I know everything is divinely planned in my life. So I'm not even gonna question you on that.
Lord, here she goes. She like, oh man, I stepped the order, dog. She gonna bring it strong for us. Go ahead, girl.
Facts.
No, but that's beautiful. No, and I love your spirit too. I think you're so vibrant, bright eyed. You know what I mean? I'm like, all right, guys, she all right, man.
I appreciate
it. Yeah, don't get it wrong. I will sue you. And win. But that's cool though, that the fact that you looked at that and said, basically, I want to, devote my life, or part of my life, I should say, to actually advocating and helping people out. And because I remember years ago when James, I know James Winston, football and everything, right? Remember when James Winston, he went in there and he took the crab leg and they have such a way of playing our people. And it's on nationwide TV and they see him walking out with the crab leg. I'm like, they just play our people so bad. And I was like, really? And I said, the fact that he's down there bringing you in millions of dollars and these kids are hungry, but so, what caused NIL to come into effect? What triggered it?
Yeah. So I'm gonna answer their question, and then I'm gonna piggyback on something you said, because I got another story that riles me up. Nevertheless, so NIL it occurred or got to the Supreme Court in 2021 as a result of a different series of different lawsuits. One of them being was the Ed. I hope it's not Ed or Eric. I think it's Ed O'Bannon. There was some lawsuits around like EA Sports being able to monetize these athletes on their video games, and these athletes weren't getting paid. And I believe I have to refresh my memory again. I've been so far away from the beginning, but that there was a series of lawsuits, and then it reached the Supreme Court. And part of that was that the NCAA, the only way they could continue to allow those athletes to be used like in the video games was if they paid them. Well, the NCAA was like, well, we're not paying athletes. So then that's when they continued with the lawsuits. There's been a different outcomes that have happened over the years that the NCAA just kept like pushing back on. And so when it reached the Supreme Court ultimately ruled this is an antitrust violation, which is basically saying you are monopolizing on these athletes' rights. Like there's no other industry, and the justices literally said you're not above the law. There's no other industry that allows these parties to be monetized off of these individuals, and they can't do anything, which brings me to my feelings around this whole situation. Going back to what you said, we have athletes whose families couldn't even like fly out to come see them play, and you're making millions off of them and have the audacity to say you basically own them because they were playing a sport for your school. And one of the cases that really had me riled up back in the day was I'm from Ohio. So Ohio State is my college team, even though I went to Clark Atlanta. So my family, we're Buckeye fans. So it was the Terrell Pryor and Jim Tressel. My dad was a huge Jim Tressel fan. And so I don't know if people know what happened to that. It was like 2011, I think. Terrell Pryor and a couple of other athletes went into a tattoo parlor, and in exchange for tattoos, they gave like some of their memorabilia, signed some autographs, and then they were suspended. Jim Tressel, despite having this long-standing winning program, was asked to resign or retire or something like that. And I was just like, hold up. You the name my mama gave me, his mama gave him, y'all own that? I was like, this is not right. These families are back at home. Many of them, these families are back at home struggling, and you are making millions, billions of dollars off of their backs and telling them because you play ball, they can't earn any money. They don't have an opportunity to utilize their fame, this energy, this finance they're bringing this institution. You have no rights to it. I said, this is crap. This has got to change. So it's been a long time coming. There's some suits right now where athletes are trying to get back pay for what they should have been paid. So
it should be.
Yeah. And I just feel like our people definitely got the short end of the stick in all of this.
Oh, please, always. They always find, Lord help me. People always find ways to shortchange African Americans. Use us and just ring us out and be, oh, you should be grateful. You have to, put your head down, keep moving forward. All these little phrases that they use for us, colloquialisms that we have in order for us to appease our anger and say, you're not worth money. You can't, you can't make money. You can't live here. All these things that they have in line for us, but it's like we're born to take like the higher road. I'm like, no. So as you said, so now here come NIL. NILs get passed in the Supreme Court. So what exactly changed? How were they able to interact with the students with the athletes?
So when this initially happened, it was very different to what we actually had. Well, in 2021, because NIL is rapidly changing, and there are honestly so many different suits and things coming against the NCAA and the institutions. Everything keeps changing. But where we stand today is a little bit different than where we stood in 2021. So first, I'll just kind of give a background of when 2021, when it first happened, it just basically said that these athletes have a right to monetize off of their fame. But it did not mean the school was paying them. There was no pay for play. It's not tied to their performance, like none of that. The school was technically not funding anything. It was just saying, hey, if you want to do a deal with Nike, long as it doesn't conflict with our school contract, Nike can pay you. But then you have NIL collectives or boosters. Basically, that's where you see those big checks that are being written for these athletes. When you hear, oh, such and such is going to get in $100,000 or something like that, that's where the boosters are kind of coming in. Well, they're called NIL collectives, but many of them are alumni or other people who have been affiliated with the institution, business owners in the local area, things like that. They're funneling money to, for lack of a better word, entice the player to come to their school. So here's where we bring into where we are today. So, of course, through that process of basically enticing the players, you had those who were talking to players during recruiting, but because when this was first passed, you weren't technically supposed to be doing pay for play, so it wasn't supposed to be discussed as, if you come play for us, we're going to give you $100,000. Well, of course, you still have programs that were doing that, and the NCAA somehow found out. Tennessee and Virginia, I don't know a school in Virginia, but University of Tennessee was one of the schools that was about to be sanctioned by the NCAA. And so they filed a lawsuit, joined with Virginia, filed a lawsuit against the NCAA. And right now, as of February, a temporary injunction was put in place to freeze the rules of the NCAA by the courts, because they want to say we should be able to have these conversations with these athletes during the recruiting phase. This is an injustice to the athlete for you to go into these conversations, not be able to outwardly talk about how much money you may get, and then coming in maybe you agree to come play for the school, but you don't know how much money they're going to pay you until after. Meanwhile, you could have maybe gone somewhere else and made more money. So basically, the rules are frozen right now. I don't know when their next hearing is for the case, but this was as of February of this year. So we are kind of in this somewhat pay for play right now. It's still at this point not the universities directly, because NIL collectives are these third parties that are affiliated but not technically under the umbrella of a university department or something like that. So there are players, and what I'm actually highly encouraging families to have these conversations during the recruiting process now, because at the end of the day, even if you're saying they went to school to get an education, yes, we want you to play ball and earn it, and even if you go pro or whatnot, the whole goal is to make money. College is education is. Obviously, I'm an attorney. I'm very big on education. I'm teaching, as for education, but the whole goal of college is to get a job and make money. So why would I not be considering that in my process of deciding where I want to play? Now, of course, that don't mean go to the school you would never attend only for the money. But if you're a good player and you have these options, you should be able to have the conversation about, okay, this is the better option for me and my family if I'm going to be able to make this amount versus this amount. Just the same way we do, the coaches do, when you're choosing a job, when you want to, everybody else has this freedom, but for whatever reason, we've been conditioned. Well, our country has been, I'm not conditioned to believe that these athletes are just supposed to take whatever they get. Nobody else in the industry has that process.
No one else. No one else.
But the ones who are the engine behind the whole thing are told to just take what you get.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And see, oh man. In this whole thing, it's so funny. Like when you hear the verbiage, you have to get past your feelings, because because sometimes you go, I don't believe you just said this to me. Like, I don't believe that you're telling me that, it's okay for you to do all these things and you to make money and to take care of your family, and Nick saving and set up and fund money to his great grandkids going forward. But me, if I break my leg while I'm playing, I'm kind of out. Even if I had my leg insured, I mean, I'm only gonna get so much money. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, if I get $1 million, I'm gonna see maybe 400,000 of that after taxes and after I pay people around me who help me. You know, so no, that doesn't work at all. So them going in with the deals now with the athletes, how does that look? Because you know Angel Reese, congratulations to Angel Reese and all of the ladies, transitioning to the WNBA. Yeah, it's kind of that pay rate sucks in WNBA, but I'll leave that alone. But how does that NIL transfer with them? Like, does it go along, or is it just for college? How does that go?
So what NIL is, and maybe I probably should have said this in the beginning, it's basically what's called a right to publicity. Right of publicity. That's the law that we all have this right. All of us as citizens have a right to control the commercial use of our name, of our image, and our likeness. And so what you see them doing is basically similar to what influencers are doing online when they say this is a sponsored post, this is a sponsored product, endorsements. And so NIL, the phrase, is confined to when we're talking about the college stuff. But even in those contracts with influencers, there's literally paragraphs and clauses about NIL, name, image, and likeness. So blanket response, overview response is she can get those endorsements at the WNBA level as well. A huge part of what she's done and what I teach my players and families is she's built an incredible personal brand. She has a large following on social media. She has a big personality. She's, created where you know her name, you know her. She goes by Bayou Barbie, even though there's some issues with her. She wasn't able to trademark that, which we can talk about another day.
Wow, nevertheless, I didn't know that. Oh, but go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't know that. I didn't know. Yeah.
But she's created a personal brand that is well known. So she's able to monetize that. And I've heard her outwardly say she can take those endorsement opportunities to this next level with her because she's done a good job of creating a personal brand that people know and that marketing companies and different executives want to have her promote their products and services. Now, I'm not 100% sure because, like I said, NCAA is in some mess right now. It's almost like a dismantling happening. We don't know what's happening, but they initially were saying that it couldn't extend beyond the college period. Like you couldn't go into contracts. For example, let's say you sign a deal. They sign a deal as a sophomore, and it's for 3 years. And so it included time after they graduated. They were initially saying that you couldn't do that because they didn't want you to be locked in outside of the collegiate level. But I don't know if, based on what Angel said, that's null and void due to the rules being frozen by the injunction. Is it that her deals are, chopped up where it doesn't violate that? I don't know. Obviously, I don't know the details of her deal. But all that to say, if your athlete has built a great personal brand, if they have a social media following, which is like the root of a lot of this, aside from being a great player, is the root of having that influence over people, that these companies want to put the money in your pocket so that you buy their products. We're a capitalist society. That's what it, what it boils down to. It's like she has a brand that we think can influence others to buy our products and services. So of course we want to work with her now that she's in the WNBA. Not to mention women's sports is on the rise. So there's more money being funneled into different women's sports initiatives. So it's honestly a good even PR to back a women's basketball player. So I think it works in her favor for that as well too, which, like you said, we can get into the whole WNBA not being paid, but we are hopeful that as their industry and just women in sports is continuing to grow, that we'll see more money being funneled to get them higher salaries.
Yeah, amen. Yeah, I forgot to mention Caitlin Clark because I want to anger some of my friends. No, but but it's real, man. But they are doing some phenomenal things. The game has changed. It's more Eurocentric and less defense in college. Pros is a little bit different. But so if I'm an athlete and I said, okay, I come to Miss Edwards and I say, all right, I need Mrs. Edwards. And I said, hey, listen, I need, I'm looking for endorsements. Like, what's some of the first steps that the athlete has to take with you?
So just to clarify, I'm not an agent, so I'm not literally finding deals for people, but I do work with parents to help them to learn how to manage this space, because not everybody has an agent. I'm indifferent on if you really should get an agent at this level, because just for background purposes, agents get 20, most of them are going to get about 20% of these.
20%.
Yeah, about 20%. Now we're not talking, and that's another thing. NIL's not regulated. So I've even heard of people signing deals that the agent was taking 30. I don't know of an athlete specifically, but I've heard other professionals in my industry say that they've seen contracts even as high as 50% of a deal. So there's no regulation around, like at the pro levels, where you have to pass a test, you have to be qualified, you have to, all these different things. NIL don't have that. So that's another reason why I'm very big on parental involvement, because you could be handing your child off to anything. Anyone, I should say. Nevertheless, athletes need to, in my opinion, start to really think about what is their personal brand. I actually like to think of NIL as you building your career as well. So what do you want to be known for? Even like, I don't say, let's say you don't, I know athletes don't want to hear, I don't go pro. Like that's not how you speak life into somebody who you're trying to encourage. So I don't say you don't go pro. I say, even if you go pro, every athlete hangs up their cleats at some point. Every athlete's hanging up the sneakers at some point. Nobody plays forever. What do you want to do? What are you interested at that point? And so start to build a brand around the things that you like. And from there, then you can start to share your life on social media. Obviously, show up on the court, the field, whatever you're playing, so that media is bringing attention to you as well on TV and games. But start to build those your personal brand outside of your sport as well too. What are some of the things that you're liking and doing? And that's how you start to how you show up online. You're growing your following, and then you can start to reach out to those different companies and marketing departments to say, I'm this athlete, I'm at this program. I have an audience of this amount. I think it would be a great opportunity for us to work together and amplify your brand to my audience. If you've already built a personal brand, let's just say you're known for hair. There's actually an Ohio State athlete. He has big hair, a football player. And so he's got a shampoo. Now he works with this collective, but he's got a shampoo line he's putting in the grocery stores because people know him for his hair. So athletes, we all have something that's beyond just our work. So fashion, maybe you're an artist. Flau'jae Johnson is a phenomenal example of, first of all, her mom is her manager. Second, she's an artist and she's a basketball player. So she's able to tap. That's something she would have never been able to do prior to 2021. She would not have been able to do her rap career because it would have been her monetizing from her NIL. So I also try to get people to understand when we saying this is like an amazing, incredible time in your athlete's life and you need to take advantage of, your athlete could not even do things that had nothing to do with their sport prior to 2021. So understand that there are athletes who wanted to just, sell juices, sell t-shirts back in the day, do stuff that had nothing to do with their sports, and they didn't have the right to do that. So this is an incredible opportunity. We are in a creator economy where we have this ability to build our own brands online and monetize them in many different ways. I actually teach in my program called Sideline CEO. You kind of stay behind me. 12 different ways that athletes can monetize their brand. There's some that are doing coaching and camps and clinics and things like that. So there are many different ways, but it all honestly starts with like building a brand for yourself. You may get opportunities if you are, well known and you don't have a social media following. You may, but I can almost guarantee if you're well known and you have a social media following, you're good. If you put yourself out there, you'll get some deals.
I heard you say something, and you alluded to the fact that these kids, they don't really need to have an agent. So if they come to you, you're educating mom
or dad. I was getting a little bit.
Mom and dad. No, for getting mad. You're educating them, saying, "Hey, look, you can actually do this. I'm here as an attorney to show you what the like the do's and don'ts. But you yourself, like Lamar Jackson's mom, actually went in and said, this is what I want. This is what I'm looking for. So that's basically what you're doing, right?
Yes, exactly. And just to give a little bit more information about
Sure.
why I'm qualified to do such a thing.
Sure.
I have built my own personal brand on social media. Before I really started talking about NIL, I was talking about my marriage and my family. I've had my own brand partnerships. I've monetized my own brand. So I don't speak on this from a perspective of, I believe you can do it, but I've done it myself. And
okay.
I'm in the suburbs of Atlanta. I'm not on nobody's TV. I'm not on ESPN. I'm not on nobody's top 10, nothing.
Not yet, right?
I don't speak that. Yeah, let me not speak
Yeah, yeah, no, right.
I was going to Sports Center. I ain't on Sports Center.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase that. But that's what influencers are doing. That's what I'm trying to get people to understand. These people who you see have social media followings, Joe Schmo from nowhere, Mississippi, able to partner with brands and things like that. This is not something that is exclusive to athletes. That's the online social media part, right? Brand partnerships, but it's not exclusive like it used to be. The bar is much lower, quote unquote, to get into endorsements and sponsorships, because we know, the brands know, everybody is online, everybody's on social media. That's where the eyes are. That's where they're putting their money for marketing. So they need to know who has an eye and a voice for the people, who has the people's eyes and their voice. So that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. Now, of course, have some of the larger agencies are already going to have those connections, right? But then you also got to consider, I talked with a mom whose athlete got less opportunities under, because some of these agencies really are saying, we just want him technically for that NFL check. We want that. So we're going to kind of get him here, do a little bit of something, they're not putting, she was actually upset because she was like, they've never come out and seen him. They don't know anything about him off the field. There's never been a conversation. All they keep saying is they're trying, and the brands are responding. But she was like, a few times we sent them something that people had contacted us and they never got back to them. So it's like, I'm not saying that's everybody's story. You still see people who are, winning with their agents, but these are just real conversations. And I'm of the personal belief, this is such a short time in your child's life. Get them every single dollar that they can. So if you have a very popular athlete, even if you're not popular, but you have people in your ear saying, let me be your agent, let me do this, and that means that there's some gold behind them. Figure out how y'all can tap into that and keep it within the family if possible.
Wow, this is so fascinating, because basically now it's become like a little family thing where you're educating them and saying, hey, look, watch out for this or that. But is there an outline that people have access to? Like, you could, like the housing market, you can see what the houses go for and whatever. Is it something where they can see different deals? Are they public information? Well, wow. So basically you're when you are doing this on your own per se, you're kind of gambling. But is it something that you personally, Attorney Edwards, can do, that you see, like what's the best, monetary, acquisition that you can come across?
Yeah, so in my program, I kind of talked them through of like how you can potentially calculate what your rate is.
Okay.
Like with any sort of thing that you're negotiating, ask for more and meet in the middle, right? Obviously, within reason, not just throwing anything out there. But in my program, I kind of do walk them through, there's different calculators out there as well, but I think it's a little bit different than just being an influencer. So like there's influencer calculators that'll say, if you have, 10,000 followers, this is your rate. But we also have to consider that there's a couple things attached to that athlete is the additional media attention that comes from them playing their game on TV. And so just the simple fact, if I see them being talked about on ESPN and I go to their social media page and now I see their, promoting this product, that was an additional kind of grab that the influencer didn't get of, an audience. But then also NIL is such a hot topic right now that anytime athletes do deals, especially the bigger ones, it gets talked about on different people's blogs and posts on LinkedIn. And so it gets other legs that reaches other people. So even in considering that, I feel like the rate that an influencer would get is still a little bit lower, in my opinion, than what an athlete who's bringing that additional media attention should get.
Wow. Yeah. You know, when I seen Caitlin Clark on State Farm, you know, commercials, I was like, wait a minute. This young lady is on a State Farm commercial. This is ridiculous right now, because if people don't understand what I'm saying is that, you know, you have Chris Paul, you know, James Harden at one time when they was all, you know, playing together, of course, with the Rockets. But now, you know, and my main man, Jake, you know, they all, I mean, this is money, you know, this is major money. Yeah. So to, you know, to get deals like that, I don't know what she makes, but I'm sure, you know, I know Angels, you know, collectively, they said she makes 1.7 million a year all for hers. And I can only imagine, you know, what Clark's, I don't know. They never said what hers was, but, you know, to go up that high. So you actually are more like a navigator for them. And you're saying that, you know, telling the parents you should take the risk. I would take it. I ain't gonna lie to you. I wouldn't pay somebody 20% to do anything.
Yeah, you know? Me neither. And that's how and there's a lot of people who feel the same way.
Yeah, I mean, God only requires 10, and Hickam the man, he won 20, right?
That's a good one. God only requires 3. How you want 20?
You want 20. Yeah, I mean, double. I want double. No, I'm playing. No, I'm joking. With the young man that you brought up, you said basically, I'm gonna keep you on ice until you get to the NFL, so I can get part of your check. It's not, my intent is not really to hook you up to get you some endorsements. My intent is to represent you once you get to the NFL, where I know you're gonna get some guaranteed money coming out the door.
Yep.
Wow.
I've heard it said that way. I also know of a program. I've technically heard it hearsay. It was someone else speaking on the program, but was saying they kind of have a pipeline where this particular agent represents a coach, the players to that agent, and so it kind of circles around. And I will say the individual who I just spoke with was part of that program. So, but again, like I said, that doesn't mean that every single athlete is being played by their agent. But
not at all.
I'm just of the belief that if you, well, first of all, I actually say that I don't know of any other industry that's like the sports agent industry, where there is an expectation of dependency. And if you try to educate yourself and try to do it on your own, you are ridiculed and villainized. If you think about every single player, especially at the pro level, who's ever tried to do their own contract, they are talked bad about. They dog Lamar and his mom and them, and then see what happens.
Drug them.
You know, just like, how dare you shouldn't. And I'm like, even in the legal industry, because I still don't think you maybe necessarily need to represent yourself depending on what your legal issue is. But there are many still different sessions and websites and organizations that still want to educate the people on how the process works. You can find books on how to represent yourself. You know, there are, like, I do trademarks. The trademark office, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, literally hosts sessions for people to learn how to do their own trademark files. Now, they still put in their blurbs, we recommend you work with an attorney, because depending on your education level, maybe it's above what you can do. But I don't know of any other industry that treats people the way that the sports industry does. It's you're gonna depend on me if you want, like you and your family. This is what I always say, and I'm in the trenches right now with my son. Y'all are waking up early to get to games, tournaments, driving, spending money on equipment. Y'all do all this stuff to get your athlete to that next level. And then when there's an opportunity to now reap the fruits, and I'm not saying that parents are entitled, because I don't personally feel like I'm going to be entitled to my son's money, but there's still fruit. We've been laboring. There's now fruit at this opportunity to make money off of this gift that God. Now we're being told there's a middleman if you want access to that.
Mm-hmm.
Where were you all those decades that we were grinding? And there's no other industry that does that. Even real estate, there you can see sold by, for sale by owner. Like maybe you should use a real estate, but there's still nobody's like, I can't believe you sold your house yourself. How dare you sell your house yourself? Like,
yeah,
no.
it's my. That's what, you know what. I have had this argument for years. I said, why do people they villainize was Serena's what's his name? Oh God, Richard. I'm just gonna call him King Richard. I forgot their last name. Richard Williams. I'm sorry. Richard Williams. I know, right? I lost my black card.
Oh, I can lose my stuff.
I know, right? Every 5 minutes. What does that mean now? But they got on him. He's trying to put a foothold on his daughters and everything. I said, all these years, this man has stood out in the rain, done all this stuff with his kids. They're his kids.
Mm-hmm.
You have no problem with that. You know what I mean? For him to do everything he's supposed to do. But matter of fact, I'll take that back. They vilify them. Oh, you working them too hard. They don't have regular lives. You're Joe Jackson. And then all of a sudden, that's what they do to black parents. They don't do it to nobody else. And then all of a sudden, this white person can come in. I'm sorry. I have to say it like it is, Lord. I'm so sorry. And when they say, I want to represent, everybody have nothing to say. It's almost like we're trained.
We are. We've been conditioned to believe that's the only option.
Yeah, we are truly systematized, and it's like, yes, it's nothing wrong with it, and we don't say a word. It's like it's just quiet. Like, all right, let's see what the good man has to say. I'm like, you don't know if he's good or bad. All you know is that he showed up, and you're willing to pay this cat. Oh, he said he worked with Justin Timberlake. Let me work with him. And we get so excited over hype. But somebody like you who's sitting here and say, you know what? I've been looking at this thing for a while. I'm gonna give you a comparative and I'm gonna show you some things. They're like, oh no, she don't, she's just trying to take your money, but that's how we are. And I think we need to snap and wake the heck up and say, hey, sometimes we have to start working together because this system, I'm sorry, has robbed Black people for years, decades. I'm even going to a century. Just always just like finding a way to get and say, you know what? I'm gonna take that from you. I'm a long game you, but I'm gonna find a way to take it from you. Look what they did to Rich Paul. Now you have to have an education in order to be an agent. It's like, anything to pull the rug from under you. I was like, he was a joke at first, and then when you seen his long game, now he runs the whole show. It's like, oh, okay. Now everybody want to respect him. Hey, that's Rich Paul. Hey, guy. Before they drug his name like he was dirt. And so now I'm, coming back, full circle to you. It's like, I would only seek somebody like you. You know what I mean? Somebody could say, I have a family. I've already been on social media. I know what it is to grow. I know what numbers you need in order for them to monetize, and not only to monetize, but also carry a brand and what my rate would be according to my numbers. I got 4,000 followers. You know what I mean? Basically, I'm gonna get $4 in a can of soup. But nevertheless, you still know, you still can quantify it. You can say, basically, this is what this equates to. And that's the thing that we as Black folk has been missing, and other people, for years. For years. It's the how. It's the why. Not just, I have a deal, but why is it this much? How do I make more? You know what I mean? Right? On your on one of your posts, you said you spoke of a parent who was basically, gypped out of some money. You said basically, not parent, but I'm sorry, but an athlete who was potentially supposed to get some money, but it never came across. And, they never learned about it because the college was speaking for them. How does that happen?
Yeah, so I don't know fact around that case. I was sharing what I was reading in the news. I do know of a program that funnels conversations through the coaches. One could argue that shouldn't happen. And by NCAA standards, prior to this injunction, I do believe that probably would have been a violation, because the idea initially with the NCAA was that this technically doesn't have anything to do with the school. It's you and the athlete and third parties. Nevertheless, I do know of a program and it's a very large football program, that runs the decision making from their collective through their coaches. So honestly, how does that happen? they've decided that that's going to happen. But in terms of that particular situation, that was one where the individual who had done deals with other athletes in football, I believe, said that he tried to contact this athlete at the school, and I guess he was directed to speak to the coaches to make those deals happen with that particular institution. He spoke to an assistant coach, and the assistant coach was supposed to relay the message to the athlete, never got to the athlete. And this was last year, so not this current season. They just wrapped up the year before. Never heard back. So he just assumed that the athlete just wasn't interested. Well, it turned out after that athlete and his parent got with an agent, the agent called the company and said, "Hey, do you have any small deals or whatnot for this particular athlete to have a parent and a father and an athlete?" And he's like, "I tried to reach out to them with a 6-figure deal last year. I thought that you just weren't interested." So what I said is, more than anything, I want families to start going into this next level as a unified front, is the phrase that I use. Meaning before your child gets there, because what I'm finding is there are some athletes who are being told once they get to the next level, make sure you call me but they've already been in their mind like, I'm doing this on my own. So they're signing stuff and then not really knowing, or signing stuff and realizing they probably shouldn't have, or whatnot. But if you guys go at that next level and say, you don't sign nothing till we talk as a family, period. You get into, my opinion, a position to where you can talk to a coach and say, yeah, well, I'm the manager. We're going to put his email in the bio on Instagram. I want the deals to be funneled through me. And if you're doing that during the recruiting phase, you're letting them know up front we're a unified front. And they want you to come to their school at that point. You have more leverage. To say, I'm going to be my child's manager. The deals are going to come through me. I'm going, if you get there and you're already there, you already agreed to play. Now you're trying to tell them, well, this is what we is and ain't going to do. You got a little bit less leverage, which is why I'm very in favor of what's going on with Tennessee, Virginia, and NCAA right now. Because you should, like I said, you should be able to have those conversations up front. The same way, if I decide I want to go to work somewhere, or a coach decides he wants to go and play somewhere, he want to know. Because I remember, I'm losing the name, but Michigan head coach who just left. Football. Yeah. I remember him talking, and specifically, at least it was in the news, that he was saying any sort of sanctions from the NCAA would be removed from his, like, if he renewed his contract. He had all these stipulations. Y'all, we're the prize. Your athlete is the prize in this. We're not doing you a favor. They need the athletes. I need you to restructure ownership and being like, I know, like you said, our people get caught up in hype. Oh, they want me. They need you. Now, we could argue if, coaches like, well, it's a million of y'all, but if collectively we as a people or athletes in general, no matter the way, started to realize the value that they actually hold, because you've been conditioned for so long to believe, you just show up and do what you're told, just play sport, and those around you would do all the business runs on the talent. There's no talent, there's no business. So go into, and I'm not saying be rude. I ain't saying you got to go all LeVar Ball and be all out there. But understand the value that your athlete offers and make sure y'all are getting what you should out of it. So if you want to make sure there's no issues about who's circumventing what deals for, I already know my son is 10, but we were having conversations about EA Sports' new deal with the athletes. There's $600 and some swag and a game to be in the next EA Sports college football game that comes out in July. And I was like, no. $600. Now, collectively across all the athletes, it's going to be a couple million or something like that. I think like 5 million. It's probably going to be, I would argue, we'll see once the numbers come. I'm willing to bet this is going to probably be their biggest game ever, because it's been on hold for 10 years. There's so much hype behind it and so many people want it. I think this might monetarily probably end up being their biggest game. I will see if it is. But with that said, they don't have a union. They didn't do that more. You had 18 and 19-year-olds are here. I'm gonna be in a video game. I was talking to my son, and I was like, "Let me tell you something right now." He only said, "I said, let me tell you something right now." He's like, so I have those. I talk about entrepreneurship and things with my son now at 10. We're talking about. I want him to understand, what he offers if he gets to that next level, what he would offer these teams, how even just as an entrepreneur in general, understanding business. I have these conversations with my son, but for many of these athletes, all they heard was, "I'm being a video game." I asked them though. I said, and they could be working on something behind the scenes. I don't know if I missed something, but I said, "Did you see Shador sign for $600?" And he said, "No." I said, "Why do you think not?" Now, again, I don't know the deal. I don't know the terms. I'm not on Deion's family's team. Nevertheless, my son was like 10. I said, "Why do you think we don't see Shador announcing that he's in the game?" He said, "Probably because Deion thinks he's worth more than $600. Oh.
There you go. There you go. I would think not somebody who didn't play sports is worth $600. Come on now. That's where that's where parents get, it gets convoluted for some parents, because when you say we have put together $5 million to get the kids on here, they don't tell you that's collectively. You know what I mean? They just put a number out there, and it makes your eyes light up. Yeah, we're part of that $5 million deal. They didn't tell you you only have enough money to get some chicken wings and sodas. That's
not even a month of rent in 2024. You can't even pay a month of rent with that. You can't even pay it for Atlanta. Now, that don't even cover half the rent.
Oh man! Oh please! Atlanta. Yeah, Atlanta's that's the town, man.
That's $600 blown before the end of the month, and they're gonna make millions off of that. I believe that game is the only player or sports game that there's not royalties. I think I read the schools are getting royalties. Every Madden, all of those, the players get royalties. This is the only one where you get that $600 check, and they know that, and the athletes, unfortunately, due to age, ate it up.
Are you kidding me? You know what? See, that's why there's so much that we don't know. And that's always been the problem. That has historically been the problem. And then because, unfortunately, I'm going to speak to this, because Black men are not heard on the job, and so they feel less than, when they get an opportunity to speak up for something when they're a kid, they just go to the moon with it. I'm like, yo, dude, you got to calm down, because finally I'm being heard. And it's like that, all that energy of frustration is going to be channeled through that one thing for your kid. I don't want my kid going there. You know how the brothers can get. No, I'm speaking as a brother, I'm like, yo, dude, just calm down. You have to find out legally what's going on. We still have to play by the parameters of the rules. You know what I mean? You could always ask for more, but still find out where your kid is. You know what I mean? But no, but that is awesome. I am just like so proud of what you're doing, and you're so young. You get on my nerves. Lord, young. But seriously, that's a testament. Plus, you're a mom, a 3, then your wife. And I'm like, man, it's like you got things on your plate. It's like
it's full.
Yeah, but how do you balance that? And let me wrap it up with this. So how do you balance all that? The person.
I am a sucker. Well, maybe not a sucker, probably just I love self-help. Content, books, and just learning how to be a wife, how to be a mom, how to be an attorney. So I have for many, many years just studied the different roles I was in. So I say all that to say I'm always trying to figure out what methods work for me and how to manage to be a wife, be a present and happy and respectful wife, be a patient, diligent, and loving mom. And honestly, I evolve in every new venture or season. Right now, I am trying out being in the 5 a.m. club. I used to get up at 6. I don't know why it was a big deal, but I've been realizing because having devotion is very important to me. It sets my day. So
Amen.
I make sure I get up and I have time with God. And then I'll journal. I more than anything, I would say is having my supportive husband. Without him, without a supportive spouse, honestly, I feel like your destiny is limited, because I need his support to help manage the household, to have time with my kids, to be able to step away and say, I need a self-care moment, to be able to work on an assignment. He has to be all hands on just as much as I am. And so
Amen.
more than anything, I have that. And then I'm a Proverbs 31 woman. That's what I've owned that. I honestly, I've said it before in the past, and they're like, "Ooh, that's big shoes to wear." But when I start listing out all the things that I do, that's what God has told me that I am. And I love that you said this, because there's a side of this industry that I want women to feel it's okay to be feminine. It's okay to be a wife. It's okay to be a mom and love sports and do all these things. Like it's not that you have to. Not in general, we get that with work in general with women in business, but especially within the male dominated industry. I love my husband. My husband is a huge part of my my personal brand, who I am. My family is number one. It's honestly where I draw all of my passion from in the whole place. I am pro family in every sense of the way. And that's why when I say I talk about sports and how to support your athlete, is because I want individual families to win. I want everybody who has had an opportunity to pour into this athlete to not, be sidetracked, similar, like you said, with Rich Paul and LeBron. He brought the people with him who had been loyal. LeBron is known for that, how he brought his childhood friends with him and put them in places. We need to do more of that. Our big corporations in this country were family businesses.
Yeah.
So I'm pro marriage. I am pro family. I'm keep a tight knit and win together. So that's.
Beautifully said. No, beautifully said. Because we there's nothing wrong with our parents, because we always vilified to make it look like we're greedy and then we should get the money. Like, no, keep it in the family.
Yes. You gonna pay somebody
all the time. You and your husband, doing a great job. Okay. So when it comes to patents, though, let me ask you this. You said you help with patents. What do you do? Trademarks. I'm sorry, with trademarks. So when you help with trademarks, do you just help it get started, or do you coach, or do you give like advice?
So I do my trademark stuff through my law firm. So I have the consultant and education piece, but I do my trademarks at my law firm, and that's actually like filing it for people. So that's one of the most important things I think that our people especially have to learn is ownership is key. That's how you get to move the money around. You tell people what you are and aren't going to do, or what they're going to do with your name, or what they're going to do with your logo, whatever you create. We are very creative, but we lose that leverage when we don't trademark our stuff, or brand logos, slogans, or copyright your creative work. So I'm like always trying to educate people on that. Now, I don't do patents, but think of how many creative ideas that have existed that it was never patented. So that family, that individual lost millions, 7-figure companies, because they didn't go and lock down an idea that they have. So anytime that you have an opportunity to create true ownership over something you create, even if it's just a slogan, I like to give the example. Sometimes there's a girl on TikTok who used the phrase, "The girls that get it, get it." That was her phrase. She did a video. It started going, everybody started saying, people still say it. She trademarked that junk. And then somebody saw a mural with a drink company that was using the phrase, "The girls that get it, get it." She was like, that's my brand. That's my
rewind, right?
Yeah, rewind. So I don't know what happened in that particular situation, but it could have been where they removed the mural altogether, or they paid her to continue using it. But it's little things like that we don't know, that she can now generate money off of just using that. Even dances can be copyrighted. The Gritty, I don't know for sure if he copyrighted it. I hope so. It's in Madden game. You copyright that, and they got to pay him to use his dance in the game. Like, do y'all understand like the value we have? I want people to restructure how they view what they offer. We've just been so conditioned to think that they're doing us a favor.
Amen.
And they're not. They need us. They need your athlete. They need the creative ideas. Lock that stuff down and create generational wealth for your family. Owning that brand, owning, the different opportunities that come in. And I just wanted to add this in. This is not directly related, but when we were referring to the money, and I was talking about how they were only going to get $600. Again, I live in the suburbs of Atlanta. I'm an attorney and wife. I'm not well known like some of these athletes. I've had my own 5-figure brand deals. So don't shortchange your
Mm.
athlete or shortchange what you think. Like they knew the people of the company I work with. No, I had an audience. And
Yeah.
I worked hard for that audience. So they want access to that audience. And so
Yeah.
they were willing to pay. I negotiated for that, right? But I just want people to understand when I heard $600, I was like, what? So,
Mm.
and you know, there were some people who were arguing, well, at least it's some money, you know, at least you're getting something. And when they didn't need the athletes, well, then they could have created the game 10 years ago. Then why haven't they? They know that they need the athletes, but they've conditioned y'all to believe that y'all not really.
Wow. Wow. Okay. I know you got to go. I got two things I'm going to ask you. I know, one's going to be a little bit offbeat. Okay.
Okay.
All right. No, seriously, off what we're talking about. But the first thing is going to be about how do you have like price lists for for brand for your services out here, like people have access to through your link, and how do they get in contact with you?
Yeah. So I am so glad you asked that, because right now I am partnering with Clark Atlanta University, which is my alma mater, and they are have a grant that's been funded by PNC and the Southeast Regional Center for Entrepreneurship. We are bringing my program, which is a 4-week program, Sideline CEO. You basically are getting it for free. Normally it's $600 to do my 4-week program. It's a $150 enrollment fee, but for every family that completes it, they're reimbursing the $150. We are not just teaching everything that I'm talking about, NIL, personal brand building, starting businesses, but they are also partnering them with mentors from the Small Business Administration. There's some other things that they're doing. We're connecting them with people in the industry that they want to work in. Like, this is going to be, it's our beta launch, this first one, but we believe this is going to be very successful and hope to continue to do this for as long as the grant funding is there. But our goal is to increase Black entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that with NIL, it does that. So your athlete has this brand and opportunity to monetize. And even if they do choose to one day go and work for a corporation, we know that during this time period with NIL, they are the brand in the business, which means that they're an entrepreneur. So getting them educated and letting them know that the value they offer, create a business, and that business can be the social media marketing. It could be t-shirt lines. I've seen it could be camps and clinics. It could be doing music. It could be so many different things. And I want to try to get them to learn that and start to build those businesses right and be able to capitalize on these opportunities. So that's a big initiative that I'm very excited to do right now. Because again, my cohort, when I do it for myself, is $600. Doing it through them, the family can get it ultimately for free after they pay. And the $150 is really just to get that commitment. We don't want people to get in here and just be like, oh, people don't always value free. Like, I show up if I got time. If I tell you you're going to get your money back at the end, I bet you show up.
Yeah, I know, right? Stay to the end. I got my money, right? I know. No, I think that's really great that you guys are doing that. So this is the second thing I wanted to ask you. No, we ask all couples this, so don't think it's weird.
Okay.
How did your husband propose to you?
We had a shotgun wedding. I love that you say that, though, because I used to feel some type of way about it. Not necessarily, like, almost embarrassed, right? But I feel like there's so many people. Me and my husband, we dated since we were 19 and 20.
Mm-hmm.
So after I graduated law school, like towards the end of there, moved in together, and then a couple months later, we ended up getting married, and then we had our son the following year. So we are going on 11 years married. So
Amen.
It wasn't like, oh, you ain't got no choice but to, you don't like this person. It was more so just not originally planned. But we got married at the DeKalb County Courthouse, but had a phenomenal vow renewal last year for our 10-year renewal at my skyline view of the city of Atlanta in downtown Atlanta. So I got to celebrate my 10-year wedding big, even though I didn't get a wedding the first time.
Oh no, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So you guys just came together and said, okay, we're gonna get married. We got baby boy coming,
Yep.
and we're gonna do this thing. No, that's cool. That's cool. I mean, no, we always ask that with everybody. I really thank God for you. You really are the Proverbs 31 woman, because remember, the Proverbs 31 woman is the woman that actually helps the community. She's not only there with her family, but she sit there. They said she makes sashes for the people. Yeah, no, seriously, because I want to say. I use I use the Proverbs 31 woman because they say, do a woman work? You know what I mean? And I say, yeah, they work
all the time. I say that all the time. I was like, do y'all miss that whole chapter? Sis was what are we doing here? She was a boss.
Exactly. She's a boss. She hooks her family up. Her family adores her for what she does. The community adores her because she helps. She does things within the community, and it's really. I was like, I don't know. Hey, listen. Hey, God bless you. Thank you so much again. I appreciate you. You the bomb, girl. Really are.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is Lachauna Edwards, and you're listening to Praise Hallelujah Radio Show with Brother D and Sister A.
Praise the Lord. There you go.
I was too confident.
I'm like, no,